Incidents like this are shocking and understandably shake our community.
New details in a double murder linked to a homeless encampment in Barrie.
2 men killed in a grisly crime. What we're learning about the suspect and his connection to the victims. Good evening. We want to warn you the details in this story are disturbing. Police confirming today the victims and the alleged killer knew each other, all living at a homeless encampment in Barrie.
A missing persons case that became a murder investigation, one that grew into the largest the police service has ever seen. CTV's John Woodward reports.
These were not random murders.
Barrie Police speaking for the first time about the disturbing results of their investigation into the disappearances of 45-year-old William Blake Robinson and 41-year-old David Kyle Cheesquay.
Began as a missing person investigation in January of this year, was grown into one of the largest investigations Barrie Police have ever had.
Charged is 52-year-old Robert Ladouceur, the unemployed man known as Tattoo Rob, facing gun and drug charges, as well as murder and indignity to human remains. He lived with the 2 men at a homeless encampment in Barrie, officers said. That encampment fenced off for weeks among the sites targeted in an extensive search. Their investigation put to rest speculation there are more victims or other suspects.
Incidents like this are shocking and understandably shake our community, but they are exceedingly rare.
Barrie Police dismissed speculation that they had a serial killer on their hands, but they did say more evidence is expected to come out in the court process. Ladouceur has a hearing scheduled this Friday. Outside the encampment now, flowers and a heartfelt message. Many of the homeless people that once lived there have since moved on, some to a spot opposite the Barrie courthouse.
Like, for somebody to do that to someone else, it's pretty scary and unbelievable.
Justin Ouellette has lived on the streets of Barrie for 3 years, waiting for housing. He said he knew the man he called Blake.
Oh, he was like an average guy. Like, you know, he liked we hung out and went to parties and stuff.
It can happen to anyone, especially being homeless.
Another homeless man, Jesse French, said he avoided the encampment.
You see people come and go all the time, right? And you never know if sometimes people just disappear for good reason or bad reason. You don't know, right?
French said he was grateful to have at least an explanation in the men's disappearances. John Woodward, CTV News.
Also tonight, a mother in Mississauga delivers a healthy baby boy but dies days later of sepsis. Her family alleging the hospital missed several warning signs and the window of opportunity to save her.
But first, boats were back in the water today looking for a man who fell off a jet ski near Bluffers Park Sunday night.
Police now confirming their search has become a recovery effort. It comes as questions are being raised about watercraft rental rules in Toronto. CTV's John Musselman joins us live with the details. John.
Well, Nathan, we can tell you that the search for today has ended. Still no sign of this missing jet skier. But as you mentioned, city officials, at least one city councillor, wants tougher rules on what's happening on our city's waterfront. A diver with the Toronto Police Marine Unit searched the water today about 1 kilometer east of Bluffers Park. There is still no sign of the missing jet skier. Police confirm this is now a recovery operation. The man in his 20s fell into the water around 9:20 p.m. Sunday night after falling off a rented jet ski. He was not wearing a life jacket, and police say he could not swim. A woman riding on the back of the jet ski who was wearing a life jacket survived.
Because of the lack of regulation.
Jet ski rental company owner Raj Mata says safety standards often get swept aside by what he calls bad actors in the business. He says the city needs to create a permitting system and license only reliable operators. Meta says his company deploys all kinds of measures before a customer is sent out onto the water.
With us, you have to be 21 plus. We have it's a 30 to 40 minute training course that we do, which we go over the rules of the water, how to operate safely, what to do in case of an emergency. And then the other thing that's different with us is in each of our jet skis, we have a control module. That control module, one, gives us oversight on exactly where the vessel is at all times if anything happens to it.
Jet skis have become an issue at City Hall, too. Councillor Brad Bradford recently won support for a jet ski exclusion zone at Woodbine Beach. The watercraft will be kept at a distance to protect swimmers, paddleboarders, and kayakers. He says safety standards and federal regulations are not good enough, and the city has limited control on the water. He calls the situation of the missing man at Bluffers Park a predictable tragedy.
Well, I think the first fix is to have the federal government take another look at the licensing regime so that we're closing any loopholes where folks are able to operate this on a daily basis without having a license. That doesn't make any sense to anybody. We need to make sure that we're doing a better job in enforcement so that when people are using motorized watercraft, they have all of the safety equipment, such as life jackets, on board for the number of riders who are on a jet ski. And then from the city's perspective, we need to keep people safe. Swimmers, kayakers, stand-up paddleboard users, they don't have a motor to move quickly.
Police say the rental of the jet ski will be part of the investigation. It's believed the operator hit a wave and was thrown into the water. He did not resurface. And again, that search has been called off for the day. We're still not sure whether or not they will be out on the water again tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Still ahead, 1 week until those kids head back to class, but for some, school's been in session for a while now. We take a look at the balanced school calendar model and find out how the students feel about it.
But first, a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot of the city. Clouds, cool, but still comfortable. There also is that chance of rain in some areas. So if you're driving, roads could be slippery. And if you plan on heading out, a jacket and perhaps an umbrella, both a good idea. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Lindsay.
Yeah, Nathan, today's one of those days where it may have been sunny 1 minute and then the next thing you knew, the clouds rolled in and you were caught in some heavy rain. That's been the story through this afternoon and now the early part of the evening. From Burlington over toward Grimsby, we've got heavy rain in spots. Richmond Hill to parts of downtown Toronto and then east into Pickering, some heavy rain as well. We're still seeing these showers thanks in part to some pretty gusty northwest winds, so a little bit of lake effect rain showers and pop-up showers in some cases too. Gusts upwards of 40 kilometers per hour around the Golden Horseshoe, and that means temperatures in the teens. Once again, it's been another cool day, below seasonal. We did manage to make it to 20 degrees earlier today. It's 14 right now in the Barrie area, and if you have evening patio plans, you might consider moving indoors. That chance of showers will be with us through the early evening. They are tapering off though, and then overnight tonight we're going to clear. Tomorrow actually looks like a pretty lovely day. So we'll talk about the sunshine, the rebound in temperatures, and then the next round of rain that's coming up in your forecast. Nathan, for now, though, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. A husband is calling for justice, accusing a hospital of gross negligence after his wife died from sepsis after giving birth to their third child.
Post-delivery, a bacterial infection developed into a life-threatening medical emergency. CTV's Adrian Gobriel spoke to the man who maintains his wife should have survived.
On June 19th, 40-year-old Ravinder Sidhu arrived here at Mississauga, Ontario's Credit Valley Hospital for the successful delivery of a healthy baby boy. Though just 4 days later, the mother of 3 was sadly dead. The initial cause of death, a Group A strep infection. Roughly 6 hours after the delivery of her newborn baby, Sidhu said she felt like she had hypothermia. Freezing cold, she was at times struggling to speak. Her temperature spiked, as did her white blood cell count and heart rate, and she was withering in pain. For 2 days, her condition deteriorated. Pleading for painkillers, her family said she was only given Advil and Tylenol. It wasn't until an infection appeared visible on her leg that she was taken to the ICU and administered an antibiotic. By then, her husband says it was too late.
By that point, she was already being eaten alive by the bacteria, and she was already suffering the worst pain. We begged for help, which never arrived. Now I learned that sepsis is a race against time, but doctors never started the clock. Had they listened to us, my wife would be still alive and she would be with her family. I really hope that no other family has to go through this.
Sidhu's family have filed a complaint with Ontario's Patients Ombudsman and with the hospital. In 2023, there were 4,600 cases of invasive Group A strep uncovered in Canada, a 40% increase from 2019.
When you see, those red flags, you have to intervene, right? And a lot of professionals are actually trained in the critical care and the ICU units, to deal with this, with these types of symptoms.
We asked the hospital if they're launching an official review into the specific standard of care given to Ravinder Sidhu. In an email, Credit Valley would only say that a review is part of their standard practice led by clinical experts. Adrian Gobro, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
York Regional Police have charged an alleged drug dealer with manslaughter nearly a year after a fatal overdose in Vaughan. Officers responded to reports of a male victim without vital signs at a home near Bathurst near Israel Drive on September 15th of last year. The death was eventually deemed to be an accidental overdose. 29-year-old Farzam Jafari Rudsari was arrested August 21st and is facing numerous charges, including manslaughter and trafficking. Police say he was on probation for unrelated offenses at the time of his arrest.
The Prime Minister was busy on the international stage today, committing to extending Canada's NATO mission in Latvia for 3 years.
And pursuing new economic and military cooperation with Europe, something that includes a big-ticket item. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Prime Minister Mark Carney tours a shipyard. The German-Norwegian consortium TKMS is pitching Canada to buy its submarines.
Our subs are quieter than Canadian Snowfall, but tougher than a player in the Stanley Cup final.
In Berlin, the government announced it's narrowed its search for up to 12 new submarines to 2 companies, this one and South Korea's Hanwha.
It's not about buying the big shiny object from the showroom floor. It's about how you are going to sustain that capability over what will probably end up being 30 to 40 years.
Canada's submarine fleet is so old it will be decommissioned by 2035. Senior government officials described the situation as having some urgency.
We need to be able to have year-round fleets in all 3 coasts under quite demanding conditions. So that's how the field narrows quite quickly.
In addition to tricky technical requirements, the government wants a purchase as massive as this one to have an equal investment in Canada.
Really positive indication with this announcement today, which is atypical for the way Canada's generally approached big procurements, and based on a project budget that could get into like $100 billion range. This could end up being the single most expensive and largest defense acquisition that we've ever undertaken.
TKMS's CEO said they were open to building in Canada, which would be a first.
The customer is always right? So if they want or demand for special, let's say, reasons to build them in Canada, we would also be able for that.
Wednesday, the Prime Minister will meet Canadian troops here in Latvia. Tonight, he announced he will extend the NATO mission Canada leads here by another 3 years. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Riga.
Meanwhile, the Canada-U.S. Trade Minister was in Washington today, sitting down with the Trump administration's top economic advisor. Dominic LeBlanc met with the U.S. Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. The talks are said to have been constructive, and the meeting lasted longer than scheduled, from an hour to 90 minutes. But it's still not known whether the countries are any closer to a deal. The meeting came after Ottawa announced last week it would lift retaliatory tariffs on some American goods.
For the second day, massive nationwide protests took place across Israel, with families of the hostages calling for the release of their loved ones and an end to the war in Gaza. This comes as international pressure continues to mount on both sides to reach a ceasefire deal as the humanitarian crisis in the enclave worsens. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
On a highway outside of Tel Aviv, protesters burned tires, blocked traffic, and demanded an end to the war in Gaza.
Accept the deal that's on the table to end the bloodshed that's going on.
These protests are the largest anti-war demonstrations to take place in Israel since the Hamas-led attacks of October 7th, which triggered the war in Gaza. They come as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces mounting pressure, both at home and abroad, over the deteriorating situation in the enclave. On Monday, Israel struck one of the only functioning hospitals in southern Gaza, then hit the facility a second time as journalists and rescue workers rushed to the scene. At least 20 people were killed, including 5 journalists. Israel says the strike was targeting a Hamas camera and will investigate what happened.
And I've worked in that hospital.
Nicole Lessard spent May, June, and July working in Gaza as a nurse with Médecins Sans Frontières. She says the suffering is constant. There's not enough food or medicine, and since Israel handed over aid distribution to the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, getting aid can be deadly.
When the sites made an announcement they were going to open for food distribution, we would shortly receive mass casualties to the hospital. They keep the doors closed and then open them. People rush in. The food is dropped in the center, and it's basically like a fight to the death.
As Israel pushes ahead with its military offensive in Gaza City, there are not only fears in Gaza but in Israel as well, with approximately 20 living hostages still being held in the enclave.
The Prime Minister has really gone rogue now. He's going against his chiefs of staff. He's going against the hostage families. He's going entirely against the international community.
Today, the United Nations demanded that Israel's investigation into the killing of journalists at Nasser Hospital comes with accountability, noting that over 270 journalists have been killed in Gaza since the war began. Heather.
In BC, there are record-breaking temperatures and a heat warning across the province as crews continue to battle wildfires, 4 of them out of control.
We do have this warming, drying condition, which is very unique for late August after a period of extended drought in the summer. So our fuels are very susceptible to ignition and spread.
One out-of-control fire in Fraser Canyon has prompted local evacuation alerts. Officials suspect the Sailor Bar fire was caused by humans. They're urging residents and visitors to exercise fire safety amid the ongoing heat wave. On the East Coast, there are no new reports of damage to homes from an out-of-control wildfire in Nova Scotia. Meanwhile, forecasted heavy rain was expected to bring relief as crews continue to fight a fire in Newfoundland. And in New Brunswick, authorities have lifted an evacuation advisory for a fire near Miramichi.
Areas of Phoenix are cleaning up after a powerful wall of dust swept through the city. Meteorologically, it's called a haboob. Funny name, but no laughing matter. It plunged areas of the city into near zero visibility last night, quickly followed by severe, damaging thunderstorms. Officials said it has the potential to affect more than 2 million people, and for about an hour, planes could not take off or land due to a ground stop. Dust storms in the U.S. are most common in the southwest and usually hit suddenly.
To a storm of excitement whipped up in the entertainment world today. One of the planet's biggest music stars is engaged.
Taylor Swift announcing online she and football star boyfriend Travis Kelce are getting married. Lots of reaction to this story tonight from fans, from the sports world. Our Andrea Case is monitoring it all. Andrea, we watched this romance blossom. Now they're locking it up.
They certainly are. He put a ring on it, Michelle. Kelce's football team, the Kansas City Chiefs, posted on social media, "Today is a fairy tale." Taylor Swift has written about this type of relationship. This is the kind of man she's always wanted, saying this is the relationship she's wanted since she was a teenager. Now the couple is looking at happily ever after. Travis Kelce proposed and Taylor Swift said yes. And fans in Toronto couldn't be happier.
Yes! Oh, they're engaged. They're engaged. Wait, actually? Oh my gosh.
Have a good life with her husband.
Some good advice. What advice would you give him with her?
Be nice.
One of the world's most famous couples announced their engagement on Instagram with the caption, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married." The ring, an old mine brilliant cut diamond from Kindred Lubeck. As for the dress she wore, by Ralph Lauren, already sold out. It was a 3-time Super Bowl winner, Travis Kelce, who pursued Swift more than 2 years ago.
So I was a little butthurt I didn't get to hand her one of the bracelets I made for her, one with my number on it.
Eventually they met, Swift admitting she didn't know much about football.
I didn't know what a first down was.
I am forever thankful for you diving into the football world.
And she certainly did, creating a stir just entering the football stadium and NFL cameras constantly covering her every move in the Kelce family private box.
The latest status is I got to see her last week. That's the latest status right there.
And the second part, are you in love?
I'm going to keep my personal relationship personal.
She attended his games and he followed her on the Eras Tour, attending 14 concerts, even making an appearance in one of her London shows.
What I saw on that tour last year was pretty remarkable. It was something I could admire watching and take a lot of notes from.
Even President Donald Trump, when asked, had something to say on the news of the engagement.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person, so I wish them a lot of luck.
He hasn't always been so gracious about the pop star, posting, "I hate Taylor Swift," after she endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Okay, as for when the wedding will be, we need to calm down. In January, Travis said on his previous podcast he would avoid getting married during the football season, and all his friends have gotten married in the summer. Super Bowl 60 will take place on February 8th, 2026 on CTV. Yes. Okay, after all, I say this, keep your calendar open because anything can happen after the season is over. Reporting for CTV News, I'm Andrea Case Nathan. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Andrea. Well, the engagement likely adding to the excitement for young fans as they do their back-to-school shopping.
Well, many still have a week to go. Class has been in session for weeks for some students in Brampton. As CTV's Rahim Ladani reports, they're operating on a modified schedule.
Class is in session at Ray Lawson Public School. And while most kids across Ontario are still on summer holidays, these students have been back in school for more than 4 weeks.
My friends are planning all these trips and hangouts. And, I have school, I can't really meet with them.
Sanu Nepal is one of the 473 students at this school that follows a balanced school calendar model. It means while the school year wraps up at the end of June like the others, the new school year starts near the end of July.
The first week of school, we did some review of grade 7. It was super easy because I remembered everything from the previous year.
The 2-month-long break, students are more likely to forget stuff. Then after that, it's hard to get back into the schedule.
Under this model, students receive the same number of days of learning, but the weeks off are very different from the regular school calendar. Students and staff get 2 weeks off in October, an extra week over the December holiday, another week off in February, and a 2-week-long March break. There are 10 elementary and secondary schools across the province right now that follow the balanced school year calendar. In order to do so, first, they need approval from the local school board. Second, they need approval from the Ministry of Education.
Consult with the community because it definitely requires a commitment from the community. They need to want this kind of calendar, want this type of learning, be committed to it with their children.
Another barrier to implementing the balanced school calendar is money. Many schools would need to be retrofitted in order to safely study during summer months.
We had a very hot first start of the month in August this year in particular, and it was definitely important that the students had air conditioning.
The province has not provided an official comment or directly replied to questions about the need for more infrastructure funding in schools. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Well, as Toronto students gear up to return to school, the Children's Breakfast Club is working to make sure as many as possible are equipped for class. They hosted their largest backpack giveaway ever today.
Families are having a really, really hard time. And when they're having a difficult time, they don't want to send their children with nothing new. All the other kids are going to be coming with new backpacks, new supplies, new everything. Like any parent, they don't want to disappoint their child. So we are here to help out.
The first delivery of more than 2,000 backpacks is being distributed to students and families at Yorkgate Mall, and families will continue to be supported throughout the month of September. This year's event also carries a special community focus. Toronto Medical, Fire and Police Services taking part to share important safety information and help out.
I mean, I can't think of any better way to support the city and support our communities here. It's specifically helping the youth, helping them get a good start on getting their education for school, which is obviously something that we all want to encourage. I mean, that we like working with the kids, we like supporting them and making sure that they've got what they need.
Toronto police from across the city are assisting with distributing the backpacks.
Coming up, the cost of tariffs in the grocery aisle and beyond. Businesses weigh in on the impact and what could change as Canada lifts retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods.
There is a water spout watch in place on Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. What is a water spout, you ask? Well, it looks like a tornado, but it happens over water, like the Great Lakes. And right now, conditions are ripe for the development of these. We've got a cool air mass moving over the relatively warmer waters. Yes, the Great Lakes are warmer than normal for this time of year. And so, yes, keep an eye open, especially into tomorrow morning on Lake Ontario. You just might see one. We're going to talk about the potential for more rain into Thursday. Your long weekend is looking pretty good. Details are just ahead. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Turning now to the latest on the trade war and Canada's decision to lift most retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods.
It's set to bring relief to shoppers who could soon start seeing prices drop, particularly at the grocery store. CTV's Dave Charbonneau reports from Ottawa.
Did you find everything you were looking for? Yeah.
At Cedars & Co. Food Market on Bank Street, they've had to shift away from offering American produce and goods.
We have had to transition because of the tariffs.
Back in March, the Carney government imposed counter tariffs on a long list of American goods, including coffee and tea, orange juice, tires, shoes, and electronics.
When the tariffs came in, we saw a huge rise on dry goods as well as product lines in the produce area. So from anything that came in from the United States, oranges went up significantly up in price. So we transitioned. South Africa, Argentina, Ecuador, Portugal, Morocco.
I like to know where my products come from.
With Canada set to lift tariffs September 1st, businesses and shoppers are counting on lower prices.
I would say 90% of our clients have boycotted U.S. goods, and they are relying solely on Canadian goods.
They support local businesses, Canadian businesses, and try to avoid unnecessary tariffs where they apply.
I want to support the local producers. The people who are doing all the work, I want to support them on the Canadian side.
At Capital Furniture and Mattress, owner Nadia Gadban says tariffs have hurt sales.
But they've slowed down business for sure.
But come September 1st, Gadban plans to cut prices.
We are going to drop our prices back down by 15% so that we're back to the norm that we were because customers have noticed the sudden increase. So this is our Canadian brand.
But when it comes to mattresses, customers here also buying Canadian.
Our business has gone up 25% since the tariffs were implemented because people have stopped buying the American brand.
The price of coffee beans went up considerably the minute the tariffs hit.
Back at Cedars & Co., Dibs says she might consider U.S. goods again, but only as a last resort.
So if the produce significantly comes down in price and we need to adjust and we cannot find it in other countries, diverse countries, we will definitely have to fall back on the U.S.
Dave Charbonneau, CTV News.
Weather-wise, it is fresh this hour. Could be stormy tonight. Not ideal, but I think tomorrow we've been kind of eyeing it. It looks like a winner.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get lots of sunshine and comfortable conditions.
We will, in fact, and I encourage you to get outside and enjoy it because there's more wet weather on the way for Thursday. Some cooler temperatures continuing as we make our way through the rest of this week. I have some good news, though, when it comes to your long weekend. And if you're missing the summertime heat, I have some perhaps even better news as we make our way into next week. But here's what it looked like earlier today. Yeah, we had sunshine to kick off the start of the day, and by the afternoon, scattered showers and in some cases, heavy downpours. That rain was coming down pretty good in parts of the GTA, and we are still seeing some wet weather right now. It's generally unsettled, although we are starting to dry out in the west end compared to earlier today. Still unsettled for downtown Toronto, east into Durham, Clarington, Northumberland County, and in and around Peterborough. You're getting some pretty good wet weather at this time. Also, a lot of this is associated with this big upper level low. As it circulates, we see these wraparound showers, and lake effect showers have been a part of the story the last couple of days. Tomorrow, though, bit of a break, high pressure in place, at least temporarily. There's the next weather disturbance waiting in the wings, and that's a story for Thursday. So again, showers taper off through the early to mid part of this evening. We're clearing through the overnight hours, and then it's beautiful sunshine to kick off your Wednesday. Might see a bit of an increase in cloud cover heading into the afternoon and the early part of the evening. And then Thursday, this is the day where you want to make sure you bring your patio cushions back inside, because you can see it is a widespread soaking rain that's going to impact us starting late morning and into midday, hopefully clearing out as we make our way into the evening. Friday, some lingering cloud, maybe a few lingering showers, hopefully more in the way of sun later in the day on Friday, but certainly some cooler air once again behind that disturbance. So we'll talk about temperatures in just a moment. How much rain? Maybe 5 to 10 millimeters. Again, would be good for the garden and the lawns. Suddenly our dry and hot summer has become less so in these late parts of August. For example, it is 17 degrees right now in the city of Toronto. So that's a little cool for this time of year. We've rebounded quite nicely in northern parts of Ontario compared to yesterday. Overnight tonight, though, this is fresh. 11 for the low under partly cloudy skies and light winds. Lots of sunshine tomorrow, as mentioned, 23 degrees. That's a nice improvement from the last couple of days. And it's near seasonal. Our average daytime high this time of year is about 24 degrees. We've been dealing with this stubborn trough, the jet stream positioning us in a way that we're getting this cooler air, but things do change as we make our way into the weekend, and then even more so into next week. But first, let's remind you, beautiful day tomorrow, wet weather in store for Thursday, maybe the chance of showers on Friday. This is even a little optimistic, the high of 21 on Friday. I think we could struggle to make it out of the teens that day. So a chilly end to our week, but look at the Labor Day long weekend. Comfortable with highs around 23 degrees, mix of sun and cloud pretty well every day. And then if you're craving some of that summertime heat again, okay, it's not quite 30 degrees, but it might feel like 30 on Tuesday with a daytime high of 27, mainly sunny skies as most kids head back to school. That's the 7-day forecast. Michelle, over to you.
Not bad at all. Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, what once wasn't possible is now a reality. A high-tech gift allowing kids to move like never before. The story behind this new robotic device after the break.
In health news tonight, a gift of mobility for children living with physical disabilities.
It's life-changing technology, robotic devices giving kids the chance to walk, some for the very first time. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has more.
First steps in the brand new Trexo device at Toronto Kids Physio for 7-year-old Charlize. The $100,000 mobility device, a gift from Brars Foods. Manmeet Magoo says he and a partner started Trexo after seeing his nephew struggle with cerebral palsy.
And the thought of my nephew never taking his first steps inspired us to find a solution. Our product is strictly designed for children, children with any sort of lower body impairment. Cerebral palsy is the most common physical disability among children. It affects over 500,000 children in North America. And there's many other conditions as well, like traumatic brain injuries.
This is the first of 2 Trexo devices being donated by Brar.
You know, you want to do business where you're also contributing to the community. And we just realized that both the companies have very common values.
And while this was Charlize's first time trying the Trexo, 4-year-old Ethan has been using it for about a year.
Ethan was born with Nemelin myopathy, which is a ultra-rare genetic disorder that affects all the muscles in his body. And so he is unable to breathe effectively on his own. He's unable to move himself.
Mom Toba Cooper says a donation like this Trexo is invaluable for families like Ethan's.
They are quite expensive. For that a piece of equipment like that to be available in a clinic where Ethan has familiar therapists, is comfortable and feels safe, means he can get up and walk around once a week when he otherwise literally wouldn't be able to.
You can do it. You can do it.
Whoa.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Alzheimer Society Peel says it is expanding as demand for its services grows. The organization says the Meadowvale Day program has outgrown its current space and will be moving to their facility on Brunel Road near Kennedy in the 401 in Mississauga. That building will undergo a major renovation to make space. Dr. Jason Kerr with Trillium Health Partners says the program is vital to patients and their families.
This is a place for patients with dementia to go once, twice, 3 times a week. It is excellent for the patients. Their cognitive decline becomes much slower. They have much fewer responsive behaviors. Not only that, the key is a respite for the caregivers as well. So it's 1 or 2 or 3 days a week where you don't have to be a caregiver. As soon as my patients get into a day program, there's an immediate release valve for the caregiver. They feel more relaxed. They feel better prepared to care for that patient at home.
The goal is to have the renovations complete by late this year. A special event will be held at the Brunel Center tomorrow at 11 a.m. to help raise awareness and funds for the expansion.
Some new inductees for the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame have been announced. Triumph is among the new class. It includes Andy Kim, Jane Siberry, Ian Thomas, and Gino Vanelli. 9 artists will be part of this year's Legends Induction Series. It recognizes songwriters who helped define Canadian culture and shape the global soundscape. Some inductees will be honored at the Meridian Arts Centre in Toronto, October 17th. Others will be recognized at another event in Montreal in November.
After the break, the foods that will go down in history at the X. The latest batch of inductees into the CNE Food Hall of Fame. Some mouth-watering, others out there.
Incidents like this are shocking and understandably shake our community, but they are exceedingly rare.
Updating our top stories, police have confirmed 2 missing men found murdered and the alleged killer knew each other. They all lived at a homeless encampment in Barrie. A 52-year-old man has been charged. The investigation ended speculation there might have been more victims or suspects.
With us, you have to be 21 plus. We have it's a 30 to 40 minute training course that we do, which we go over the rules of the water, how to operate safely.
Questions are being asked about watercraft rental rules after a man fell off a jet ski in Lake Ontario offshore in Scarborough Sunday. Police say it's now a recovery operation. A woman on the back of the craft survived.
We can't trust but verify with Putin. As we think about the process through the coalition of the willing, we must deter and fortify.
The Prime Minister is extending Canada's largest overseas mission for another 3 years. In Riga today, Mark Carney announced Canadian troops will stay in Latvia through to 2029 as part of an effort to strengthen the defense of Europe's eastern flank and deter Russia.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Canada Post says it lost $407 million in its second quarter. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more on that in tonight's Business Report.
Canada Post is reporting its largest quarterly loss, and the corporation says it's mostly due to labor uncertainty. The before-tax loss of $407 million comes after lengthy negotiations this year between the corporation and its union. This compares with a profit before tax of $46 million during the same period last year. The Bank of Montreal and Scotiabank beat earnings estimates in their third quarters. Both banks benefited from smaller than expected loan loss provisions. Shares of both BMO and Scotiabank were trading higher today as a result. And the U.S. dollar fell today, and stocks wavered as Donald Trump pushes to remove Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. The move by Trump is fueling concerns about central bank independence and inflation risks. Cook, meanwhile, has said she will not step down. And here's a look at how the trading day ended today. The Canadian dollar finished on a high at 72.28 cents U.S. West Texas Intermediate was down more than $1.50 to 63.25. Western Canadian Select climbed 95 cents to 51.72. And the TSX is up almost 170 points, finishing at 28,339. And those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A new survey is outlining the impact the trade war is having on people's shopping habits. Interact says 78% of those polled reported choosing not to make a monthly purchase from a big box or international retailer and instead buying from a Canadian business since tariffs were first announced. The company says its transaction data shows small and medium businesses consistently outpaced larger merchants in year-over-year volume growth between April and July.
The parliamentary budget officer says 3.2 million new homes need to be built in the next decade to close the housing gap. And right now, we're not on track to meet that requirement. The latest PBO report estimates the number of new home builds will be higher over the next 3 years, but will gradually return to historical averages after that. It expects an average of 227,000 new homes to be completed each year for the next decade, and a total of about 2.5 million over that time frame.
More than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants will begin voting tomorrow on a new tentative agreement. The airline and the union agreed to the deal last week, ending a 3-day strike. It includes a pay raise and establishes a pay structure for time worked when aircraft are not in the air. The ratification vote will take more than a week.
The Toronto Blue Jays host Minnesota tonight for the second of 3 games this week.
Jimenez. Here comes Lucas. Safe at the plate.
The Jays kicked off the series last night with a 10-4 win. Toronto is now 43-21 at home. The Twins have lost 3 straight and 8 of their last 10. Chris Bassett gets the start for the Jays. Minnesota counters with right-hander Bailey Ober. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays' 2026 season schedule was released today. Toronto's first game is at home on March 26th versus the Athletics. Other notable games include Canada Day, July 21st, when the Jays welcome the New York Mets to town. Toronto's last regular season game next year is September 27th versus Cincinnati at Rogers Centre. The Jays will play 52 games against American League East opponents in 2026, 48 games against interleague ones.
To tennis, and 2 Canadians were in action today at the U.S. Open in New York.
And it's the 27th seed, Denis Shapovalov, who moves through to the second round.
Denis Shapovalov is advancing after a straight-set win against his Hungarian opponent. The 26-year-old from Richmond Hill improved to 28-0 in Grand Slam matches when leading after 2 sets. He had his best result at the tournament in 2020 when he reached the quarterfinals. And Felix Auger-Aliassime is also advancing. The 25th seed beat England's Billy Harris in first-round action this afternoon. The wins mean all 3 seeded Canadians in the men's main draw are into the second round. Gabriel Diallo won his match yesterday.
The Canadian National Exhibition has become synonymous with food, and today the top culinary creations were inducted into the CNE's Hall of Fame. This year's 5 big winners include the iconic corn dog, touted as a fair staple and original food on a stick. The colossal onion, celebrated for its deep-fried design, making it the perfect shareable snack. And then there's the jumbo turkey leg, which offers a little bit of fair nostalgia for so many. I think that's Nathan's favorite. And not for the squeamish, the bug dog, which includes crispy crickets as one of its toppings. And finally, this one was an Instagram favorite, the rainbow grilled cheese, taking social media by storm for the color reveal when the sandwich is pulled apart. Today, CP24's Andrew Brennan put that tasty treat to the test.
Very nice. Oh, okay. Thank you. All yours. So just like have to do it slow.
Okay. Is he going to take a bite there? The CNE Food Hall of Fame was established last year in celebration, the 70th anniversary of the food building. Pretty good assignment there.
I think I'll take the turkey on that jumbo turkey. It's healthy.
I do the corn dog.
All right. Just ahead, an architectural landmark on Bloor turns 100. We take you inside this iconic Toronto building and pull back the curtain on its rich history. Can you name it?
Finally tonight, opening the doors to 100 years of history.
The Manulife building is celebrating a milestone anniversary, and today, Jessica Smith took a tour inside the historic building.
a centennial celebration for an iconic Toronto landmark.
We were founded here in Toronto in 1887, so that's 138 years this year. And because of that, Canada has always been our home market, and today the company actually serves 1 in 4 Canadians.
The South Tower of the Manulife building on Bloor Street East in Toronto was built in 1925 and is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
And we do have a lot of history, but taking the time to really acknowledge a building as important as this or as unique as this, it doesn't come around so often.
From the larger-than-life columns to the gold-colored front doors and the underground vaults filled with company and Toronto historical artifacts, the building tells the tale of a large part of Toronto's past.
And I think because it's such a unique-looking landmark in Toronto, you don't see a lot of buildings with this much green space, particularly on this stretch of Bloor. So it's quite unique in the Toronto community.
Initially installed in 1926, even the front lawn has its own lore. So special, you can't walk on it.
At the time of our opening, we had a lot of land here, and our chief gardener at the time wanted to install a lawn, but really liked the grass that they used at the Scarborough Golf Course. So used the exact same grass, Kentucky bent grass, and installed it the next spring. So it's been maintained ever since.
Although the building is closed to the public, the community is welcome to walk the grounds, with special celebrations each year for Remembrance Day, Pride Month, and welcoming in the spring season with tulips. It's a shared space for all. The hope is that the building here at 200 Bloor Street East will continue to serve as a nod to a piece of Toronto's history as it moves forward into the future. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Beautiful sunshine earlier today, then the clouds rolled in. We got some rain, and here's what's left of it on the satellite and radar, tapering off as we continue through the evening hours and then dropping to a low tonight of 11 degrees. That's a bit chilly, but tomorrow, nice rebound, 23 degrees, close to normal for this time of year with a mix of sun and cloud. The next 3 at the CNE. I think tomorrow's a pretty good day to go and check it out. Friday should bring us some sun for the second half of the day. It's going to be a little cool, but the long weekend looks great, including Labor Day Monday and some warmth by next Tuesday. Michelle and Nathan.
You're delivering for the long weekend. Appreciate it. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Natalie Johnson with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a great night.